Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Cel-Sci's channel dedicated to research and development directed at improving the treatment of cancer, autoimmune, and infectious disease. Joining us to give us a high-level overview of some recent updates and where they're currently moving to, Geert Kirsten, the CEO, joining as always. Welcome back, sir.
Kyle, thank you so much for having me. We haven't talked in a while.
No, it's been a little bit, and I'm definitely excited to get some updates because you guys are on the forefront of something absolutely incredible. I mean, recently you just raised 10.84 million to kind of help advance these studies, and I wouldn't mind getting some updates on the studies as well. Do you want to tell us where we sit, where we're going here?
Well, first of all, on the money raise, we're going through crazy times. I mean, we're seeing it right now in the stock market in general, but I'm very happy we found very good investors. The stock has performed very well. So we're finding a lot of support among very good people. I'm very pleased about that. I think the best way to show you where we are is to show you some slides. So let me share my screen with you here. This whole slide presentation is on our website, so people can look. I'm obviously cutting out a lot. But our idea is to treat your immune system before it's been damaged, of the cancer patient immune system, before it's been damaged by surgery, radiation, chemo, right? That makes logical sense. And thereby, what we hope to do is significantly increase your chance of the cancer not coming back. And we all know that that's the real problem. If the cancer comes back, it's not a good thing. Most likely people are going to die from it. So it's like redirecting the Mississippi. Instead of it going towards the East Coast, you have it going towards the West Coast. Think of that. That's a huge difference. And that's what we think we can do. First with head and neck cancer, which is from under your nose down to your clavicle, sixth biggest cancer. And we picked it because it's such a miserable disease. And then other cancers as well. So let me show you. We ran a massive clinical trial, the largest, in fact, ever done in head and neck cancer, 928 patients. The standard of care for these newly diagnosed patients is that you do surgery. And then after the surgery, based on the pathology, they decide whether it's going to be radiotherapy only or radio plus chemotherapy, which is horribly toxic. So in our study, we gave 3 weeks of our drug Multikine first, which activates the immune system, and by the way, is non-toxic and very safe. The results of the study were excellent in one half, not so excellent in the other half. They were excellent for the patients who got our Multikine, followed by surgery and radiation, because we extended their life by, listen to this, 46 months, almost 4 years over the control. So in a disease where everybody's been failing, it's a big deal. However, when you added chemo on the other side, it didn't work. You can't get approval for something like that. So regulators were very supportive. They said, but you have to do a confirmatory clinical trial. And by the way, those are much less risky. In the patients where your drug is known to work. You've seen it, right? You have an almost 4-year survival benefit. So then people thought, okay, it's simple. You may do a study in Multikine surgery and radiation. But that doesn't work. You can't give out, at the time when you give our drug, which is before the surgery, you don't know what it's going to be after the surgery. Remember that determination, whether it's radiotherapy or chemoradiotherapy, is made based on pathology after surgery. So we went into the data, knowing that we have to do a confirmatory study. And let me show you just how incredibly good this is. Next slide here. So FDA recently cleared us for a confirmatory study. It's not large, 212 patients. And that's the reason it's a confirmatory study, because we have already shown huge survival benefit, even 5-year survival, for this type of patient. And so what type of patient are we talking about? They are stage 3 and 4 head and neck cancer, miserable disease, who have no lymph node involvement, again, no cancer in the lymph nodes, and low PD-L1, which is kind of the opposite of Keytruda. Keytruda and Opdivo work very well with high PD-L1 levels, which is about 30% of patients. We work in the 70% that have low PD-L1. And what you will see is that we have phenomenal survival in these patients. So So here on this slide, you see an explanation why we selected these people, but basically we want to avoid the use of chemotherapy, and we want to find patients who, even though they're very sick cancer patients, still have the ability to mount a proper immune response, because that is how our drug works. Now, this is the most important slide in our slide presentation, because it tells you how incredibly good the survival is with our drug in these patients, in this type of patient. And for our confirmatory study, we have to do the same thing again, the same type of patients, but we don't have to be as good. So what you're seeing on the right side, it's known as a Kaplan-Meier survival curve. And the blue line at the top shows you that you have immediately a separation in the survival curves, meaning with Multikine people live a lot longer. And at 5 years, you have a 73% survival. The green line shows you the people who just get standard of care, not Multikine. And you see their survival drops off very rapidly and continues to drop until year 5. So their survival is only 45%. I don't think I have to give any explanation why 73% is better than 45%, right? And this is in a disease where in similar studies, Pfizer, Bristol Myers, the US Merck, and the German Merck have failed in the last 4 years. So yes, we have to do a confirmatory study. But the question then is, what's your chance of being successful? So you look at the p-value. The p-value is 0.0015. Anything under 0.05 is statistically significant. So we're much better. But regulators look at things in a hazard ratio. So hazard ratio of 1 means that both sides are equal. There's no benefit. If it's over 1, it's not good. You want to be under 1. Typically around 0.7, 0.72, FDA will give you approval for cancer drug. We have 0.35, which is excellent. And analysts and clinicians have all confirmed this is excellent. And what it means is you have a 65% reduction in the chance of dying all along the 5-year curve. So no one has ever argued with that. It's great. What regulators are most concerned about afterwards then is, well, what's the 95% confidence interval? So if you repeated the study 100 times, what would be the results? What would be the worst case scenario 95% of the time? And the worst case scenario is the 0.66 next to the 0.35. So therefore, if you were to run our study 100 times, you should be 0.66 or lower, with 0.7 being the approval. So you should have at least 95, if not 96, 97% chance of being successful. So we believe that we have addressed the number one risk in biotechnology, which is the drug doesn't work. And we've all seen these incredibly hyped companies with billion-dollar valuations, big names attached, big investment, and they blow up because the study doesn't work and no one can save them. We believe that we have a really high chance of being able to replicate it. And we also don't need to do as well in the confirmatory study as we did here. Again, that helps. Now, met with a really smart analyst, and she was very, very thoughtful. And she says, this is so good, I cannot believe that you're under $100 million market cap. There's something wrong. And she says, maybe, even though this data comes from a controlled randomized study, maybe you have many more healthier patients in the Multikine group, and you have all the sick people in the control group. Well, that would give you a survival benefit. So after that, we published the data. And so this gives you a little background on the bias analysis, it's called, and this shows you here now the actual table. And what she was talking about is the bottom line, baseline stage. So what you will see throughout this, it's very well balanced The groups are well balanced as it comes from a 928 patient randomized controlled study, right? So her concern was that where it says MK to the right, her concern was that that group had many healthier patients in it, and that the control group would have the sick patients. And well, the sick patients are stage 4. What you're finding actually is that the Multikine group has more sick patients in it. So Multikine should be doing worse, but Multikine is doing much, much better, which means that you know that this result, the survival benefit, truly is due to our Multikine. We also, by the way, know that a number of people have a complete tumor elimination in 3 weeks, and a good number have a shrinkage in excess of 30%, which, by the way, also appears to predict the survival. So this is the study. We're now going to be doing the study, and I can show you a little bit on the next study. 212 patients. It's not large. It's going to cost $30 million. That's not a lot of money to bring a cancer drug to market. If you look at the case of Immunogen last year, they concluded a confirmatory study. Stock went crazy. They got bought by AbbVie for $10.1 billion. So basically, that's what we hope to do. And so there are 2 arms here, 106 patients an arm. You can see all of this in the slide presentation on the website. We have to wait for 65 people to die, but along the way, we'll be able to see data once we're fully enrolled, and then we'll be able to talk to regulators about an early approval. So why don't we go back? Kyle, do you have any questions, any thoughts?
I think this is absolutely insightful, and we'll pass that off to the viewer. Let us know what you think in that comment section below, so perhaps we can do an investor Q&A here down the road, and consider subscribing as News Catalyst at The Wire. Like this, of course, we'll bring it to you here. But on that note, as always, we look forward to catching you in the next one.